Just wanted to show you my onion starts here. Got these started in January in my greenhouse, and they're getting a few more inches to go, and we will have them ready to transplant directly into the garden. Anyway, speaking of greenhouses, let's call this video Fun with Greenhouses. And here's my greenhouse. You saw this in an earlier video. This is, if I can get back far enough, this is an Out Sunny brand, what they call portable greenhouse, although I've basically permanently installed it. It's about 1.5 years old. Got it for a really good price, otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. But you can see that it is a metal frame, and it's got shelves. It's a part of the greenhouse, and it's got this plastic surround. It's the frame itself is fairly durable, but I'm a little concerned about the plastic. And as you can see, I've leveled it by putting it on these stone block pieces, and that keeps it up off the ground, and also helps the frame last longer and not rust out, and also levels it, which helps. And of course, it's tied down with these tie downs. The instructions say to put those on the outside, but I put them on the inside so they wouldn't be a trip hazard. And I just want to show you that it's got this, let's give you the pros and cons. I've given you the pros. It's got a good durable frame. It's a good size. It's tall enough for me to stand up in, and so I can go in there and work. The problem is this, the plastic, and as you can see, the zipper on this side has blown out. Let me see if I can get in here. There it is. The zipper has blown out, and I'm using clips to hold the door together. And although this side is doing fine, the other thing is there's no vents in the roof. And so if you don't open it up like I've done today, it'll overheat. And so you've got to, do this. You've got to open the door to allow the greenhouse to keep it from overheating. This thing also is not very durable, in that you can see it's starting to tear out here. And there's some other tearing out up here on the top. And so I'm worried about the durability of the cover, although it has survived for 1.5 years. Let's go inside. The problem with having a nice set of built-in shelves, of course, is that if you're not careful, and apparently I'm not careful, you tend to use it for storage, as you can see here. Although we are growing stuff here. This is, as I showed you earlier, I've got onions that I started in here, and now that the weather is warming up, I've put them outside. I've got sweet peas. Between 3 different containers, I threw a whole package of sweet peas, and they are growing in here underneath grow lights. Don't really need the grow lights today. We're getting plenty of sun, but on cloudy days, having the grow lights, see there, they're purple, really helps add additional light for the plants. The other thing is I've got some lettuce that I planted a week ago, so I've got these seedlings started. More sweet peas, and you can see some of them are just starting to come up through the surface. Others have been up for a while. I've got 1, 2, 3 little gem lettuces, which I actually put in the ground. I seeded them back in mid-January, so 2 months ago. They should be finished growing, but then we had 6 weeks of unseasonably cold weather, and they just sat there and would not grow. Now that we're having more seasonable weather, they are growing, and the warmth of the greenhouse seems to be, they seem to like that, and so in the last week they've tripled in size. So I'm hoping to have these. And then we got some more sweet peas. Over here we have a heat mat This is where I initially began to germinate my seeds, and I have a grow light here as well for those seeds. But like I said, it became unseasonably cold, even with the heat mat and the heater in the greenhouse itself. I was really having trouble getting things to germinate, so I had to move my germination setup inside, and they're doing just fine inside. I may now move that back outside now that the weather that unseasonably cold run of weather has disappeared. Keeping track of temperature, no, it's not that hot in here. The thermometer is got the sun directly on it, so it's reading about 20 degrees at least higher than it really is. You just have to know that it's going to read high. But it's big enough to read from inside the house, so I can peek outside and see what's going on out here. Over here is a control center for the greenhouse. I keep it under a plastic cover to keep the moisture off it. It's not the best setup. This is a thermocube. It runs the heater, and it is permanently set to turn on at 35 degrees and then turn off about 8 to 10 degrees later. So it probably keeps the greenhouse too cold at night, but at least it keeps it from freezing. And we have a timer for the grow lights. The heat mat has its own thermostat and plugs in directly, but I've got it unplugged right now because nothing's growing on it. So this is a quick look at the greenhouse, pros and cons of the greenhouse, and things that can go right, things that can go wrong. Even with a greenhouse, if you get an unseasonably cold run of weather where you're constantly below freezing every night, it's not going to help you out, even with a little heater here. But if we had more seasonable weather, I would have had a lot more starts going early, but what I got is what I got. So, there we go. Fun with a greenhouse. There we go. And we'll be seeing more of this as the gardening season progresses. Well, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe, share, and see you next video.